The wealthy don't panic when money gets scary. They've trained something deeper than strategy, a temperament most never learned. They carry a quiet inner stillness around money. It's a way of thinking most people were never taught to build. Markets shake, headlines scream, savings feel fragile overnight. Most people react instantly, but the wealthy seem strangely still inside. That stillness isn't luck, and it isn't coldness either. It's a different relationship with fear, time, and uncertainty entirely. By the end, you'll understand that calm. You'll see how it's built and why anyone can begin learning it. Most people experience money through a nervous system stuck on alert. Every bill or dip feels like immediate personal danger. The wealthy experience the same events through a wider lens. They've trained themselves to zoom out before reacting at all. That zoom out is the entire difference between panic and patience. It changes which decisions feel obvious in a frightening moment. When markets drop, the anxious mind screams, "Sell everything now." The calm mind quietly asks what this really means later. Both minds feel fear. Only one lets fear hold the steering wheel and choose the destination. The wealthy aren't fearless people who somehow stopped feeling worry. They've simply built a pause between feeling and acting. That pause is where their entire advantage actually lives. It's small, invisible, and worth more than any single investment. It's your two people watching the same scary financial headline tonight. One feels their chest tighten and grabs their phone immediately. The other notices the tightening, breathes, and does nothing yet. Same fear, different response. Completely different outcome over years. The wealthy think in decades, while most people think in days. That single shift quietly rewrites how scary moments feel. A bad week looks enormous when your timeline is 1 week. The same week looks tiny across a 30-year timeline. Time horizon isn't a strategy you pick. It's a temperament built through repeated, deliberate, almost boring practice over years. Most people were taught to treat money like emergency oxygen. Every disturbance feels like the air is being pulled away. The wealthy treat money very differently inside their minds. It's a long river, not a fragile cup of water. A cup spills and you panic because everything is gone. A river dips and you wait because more is coming. That mental image alone changes how scary headlines actually feel. The water keeps moving, even when one section looks dry. There's a quiet secret in how the wealthy handle bad news. They've already imagined it happening long before it arrives. Most people are blindsided because they only imagine good outcomes. The wealthy mentally rehearse downturns while the sun is shining. That rehearsal isn't pessimism, it's preparation that drains fear of its surprise factor when reality finally arrives. When you've already pictured the storm feels familiar. Familiar things don't trigger the same panic as unknown ones. Notice how often anxious money decisions happen in the dark. No plan, no rehearsal, just raw emotion choosing for you. The wealthy decision was usually made years before the crisis. They're not reacting, they're following something they already chose. This is why their calm looks almost suspicious from outside. It seems they know something hidden, but they simply prepared. Preparation, not prediction, produces that grounded quietness inside them. They don't know the future, they know their own response. Consider how most people relate to losing money on paper. The number drops and something inside them drops with it. Identity, safety, and self-worth get tangled into that falling number. Of course, panic follows. It feels like personal collapse. The wealthy separate their identity from any single number on screen. Their sense of self isn't held inside that account. That separation isn't arrogance. It's a quiet psychological boundary that keeps fear from running the entire show. When the number drops, they notice it like weather, not catastrophe. Weather changes, and they've lived through changing weather before. Pause here for a moment and ask yourself something honest. When money feels scary, what are you most afraid of? Is it the number or what the number means about you? Often the deepest fear isn't financial at all underneath. If something here is landing, share it in the comments. Your reflection might be the sentence another viewer needs today. Sometimes hearing how a stranger thinks about fear changes another stranger forever. That's the quiet power of an honest comment. Back to the temperament and one of its strange features. The wealthy often welcome scary markets instead of fearing them, not because they enjoy stress, but because they see opportunity inside fear. While others sell, they quietly reconsider what's possible. This isn't bravery, it's a learned reflex built from understanding how crowds repeatedly behave during frightening moments. Crowds run toward exits during panic, leaving valuable things behind. The wealthy learn to walk slowly while others run. Walking slowly when everyone runs feels deeply uncomfortable at first. Every cell in your body wants to follow the crowd. But the wealthy temperament trusts a different kind of evidence: history, patience, and the patterns hidden inside repeated human panic. There's also something powerful about how they define enough. Many already know what enough looks like for their own life. Knowing you're enough is the foundation of staying calm. Without it, every drop feels like infinite loss without a floor. With the defined enough, scary moments have a clear floor. The fear has edges, and edges make fear manageable. Most people never sit down and define their enough, so every threat feels limitless and every loss feels bottomless. The wealthy relate to risk differently than the anxious mind. They don't see risk as something to eliminate entirely. They see risk as something to understand, size, and live with. Eliminating risk completely would mean eliminating growth completely. That acceptance changes everything about how scary moments feel inside. The fear becomes a familiar tenant, not a sudden intruder. You can't build wealth while demanding zero discomfort along the way. The temperament accepts discomfort as part of the path. Notice the difference between accepting discomfort and chasing discomfort. The wealthy don't seek pain, they refuse to flee it. That refusal is the quiet engine behind their long-term results. It's not glamorous, not loud, and rarely shown on screens. Think of someone planting a tree they may never sit under. They're not anxious. The tree isn't tall by Friday. They water it, protect it, and let time do its work. The wealthy mind treats money the same patient way. A tree doesn't grow faster because you panic at the soil. Money rarely grows faster because you panic at news. Yet most people spend their lives panicking at the soil. Then they wonder why their tree never seems to grow. The wealthy protect their attention as carefully as their accounts. They know fear is mostly imported through what they consume. Endless scary headlines and dramatic predictions are emotional pollution. Consuming them daily quietly trains a panicked nervous system over time. Limiting that input isn't ignorance. It's emotional hygiene that protects the temperament they've worked years to build. You cannot stay calm while drinking from a fire hose of fear. Choosing what enters your mind is a quiet act. Another piece of their calm involves how they handle being wrong. They expect to be wrong sometimes and plan accordingly. Most people treat being wrong about money as personal failure, so they freeze, hide, or double down to avoid it. The wealthy treat being wrong as data, not identity collapse. They adjust, learn, and continue without dragging shame into everything. That lighter relationship with mistakes keeps them moving through scary moments. Movement, not perfection, carries them through downturns and storms. There's also a quiet humility in how they speak about money. Rarely certain, rarely boastful, rarely promising guaranteed outcomes. Loud certainty is usually the costume of a fragile temperament. Quiet humility is often the signature of a grounded one. Notice this in real life and you'll spot it everywhere. The calmest money minds rarely sound like the loudest ones. This humility makes them harder to shake when reality surprises them. They never claim to know exactly what would happen. Many build a small, boring habit they repeat for decades, something unglamorous, automatic, and almost invisible to outside observers. That boring habit becomes the spine of their entire calm. When scary moments arrive, the habit keeps running underneath everything. Anxious money lives in bursts of intensity and long silences. Calm money lives in tiny, consistent actions repeated without drama. Intensity feels productive but rarely compounds over years. Consistency feels boring but quietly builds the temperament behind real wealth. Here's the part most people get backwards about staying calm. They think calm comes first, then good decisions follow naturally. Actually, calm is built by repeatedly making grounded decisions. Each small grounded choice teaches the nervous system new patterns. You don't wait to feel calm before acting wisely. You act slightly wiser, and calm gradually arrives behind it. The temperament is downstream of the practice, not upstream. That reversal alone can change how you approach scary moments. So, how does someone actually begin building this calmer mindset? Not through a dramatic overhaul of their entire financial life. Start with a tiny pause between scary feeling and action. Just 60 seconds before checking, selling, buying, or worrying aloud. In that pause, ask yourself one simple grounding question. What would a calmer, longer term version of me decide here? That single question, repeated often, slowly rewires your relationship with fear. It inserts a wiser voice between panic and action. Another step is choosing your inputs more carefully each week. Less doom, less hype, less prediction, more grounded thinking instead. You don't need more financial information arriving constantly. You need less emotional noise wrapped around the information you have. Try defining your own enough on a quiet evening. A simple, honest picture of what a good life actually requires. Not the maximum possible, just the genuinely sufficient version. That picture becomes an anchor when scary moments try pulling. Practice imagining a downturn while things feel calm and stable. Picture it clearly, feel the discomfort, decide who you'll be. That rehearsal does more for your future calm than any prediction. You're training the response, not guessing the storm ahead. Remember that temperament is built, never inherited from anyone else. Calm, wealthy thinking isn't a trait reserved for special people. It's a skill, assembled through small, repeated choices over years. Anyone willing to practice can quietly begin building it today. The starting point isn't more money in your account. It's a different relationship with the money you already have. If your money feels stressful and short-term, that's not a verdict. That's simply where the practice begins for you. Be patient as this temperament slowly takes shape. Old panic patterns took years to install, and they unwind gradually. Some weeks you'll react the old way and feel disappointed that noticing itself is already part of the new mindset. The wealthy temperament isn't a finished state anyone arrives at. It's a direction you keep choosing when money feels scary. Each scary moment is actually an invitation, not only a threat. An invitation to practice the calmer mind you're building. Sit with that idea for a moment before scrolling onward. Fear, handled differently, becomes one of your greatest long-term teachers. If this perspective shifted something inside you, leave a comment. Tell us which idea here you most want to practice. Your words might land in front of someone who needs them. That's how this small channel helps people change together. Subscribe and turn on the bell if calmer money thinking matters. We explore the temperament behind lasting wealth here. The wealthy stay calm because they've built the inner conditions, not because money stopped being scary inside their lives. You can begin building those same conditions starting tonight, slowly. One pause, one question, one honest definition of enough. Money will keep getting scary sometimes, no matter what you build. The question is who you'll be when it does. Become the person who waits one breath longer than the crowd. That single breath is where the wealthy temperament lives.